Up next, we have Jules Jaffe. Jules is a research oceanographer at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. All right, please play the video.
Hi, I'm Jules Jaffe, a research oceanographer at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography in La Jolla, California. I'd like to present my lightning talk entitled Meeting the Challenge of Sampling 4D Oceanography with Vehicles, Swarms, and Sensors. To start this lightning talk, I want to highlight a number of areas of concern for ocean health and how monitoring the ocean can make a huge difference in understanding what is going on with the planet. So first of all, we are all aware of the harmful algal blooms that are occurring in both marine and freshwater systems regarding the presence of organisms that can lead to anoxic conditions and also poison shellfish, which are then eaten. The shoaling of oxygen-rich areas in the mesopelagic ocean is something that we worry about as the oxygen gets shallower and shallower. The plankton that need to be able to, in some sense, breathe will not be able to dive as deep, and they will be more susceptible to predation by fish, hence not allowing them to be there for future generations. Coral reef degradation is something that's been in a lot of news. We don't need to spend much time on that, but the elevating temperatures and even the advancement of ocean acidification is threatening global coral reefs. And importantly, conservation and preservation of marine protected areas and how we manage them is well informed if we can monitor what's there, how much of it there is, lead to sustainable harvests, and encourage growth for future generations. So I couldn't think of a better way to start this talk than quoting my late friend and colleague, Walter Munk, who was true luminary of oceanography. And in the last part of the 20th century, he was quoted as saying that the 20th century will be known as a century of undersampling. Based on his comments, I decided that it would be interesting to start to think about swarms of underwater robots and how they might not undersample the ocean. Here I'm just basically showing some of the ingredients of ocean robots. They have to be able to move either actively or passively. We need to know where they are. We need to be able to talk to them. They need to be able to talk to each other, and they need to be able to talk back to us. And importantly, they need to have the capability of sensing the environment, and that would entail the use of optics, acoustics, even electromagnetics, and the interesting and important new area of chemical sensing. In this talk, I want to focus on the design of our robots and also a little bit on the future of robotic sensing. I always enjoy framing my research in the context of my own personal history and trajectory, and this whole area became more important to me in 2001 when my colleague Simon Levin, who's a mathematical ecologist at Princeton, invited me to a meeting where Jane Levchenko, who was actually running NOAA for many years, were interested in understanding marine protected areas, where to put them, and how to guide their placement based on ocean currents. Under their tutelage of the science, we developed a small number of ocean robots under NSF funding, which was then used to get even more funds from NSF to actually build a swarm that was motivated by my friend and colleague Peter Franks to measure plankton trajectories, thereby getting spatial sampling and exploring the passive transport of plankton by ocean currents. Our development entailed the fabrication, design, deployment, and data processing of what I call the mini autonomous underwater explorer, which is around a $5,000 underwater vehicle. And it has a 1.5 liter volume. It has temperature, pressure, acoustic sensors, and can be deployed for up to 2 weeks. There's not much time to go into the science. We've had a number of articles in Nature Communications, a few recent ones in limnology and oceanography. Here I'm featuring Jessica Garwood, who was a student in our group for many years, who under NSF funding was able to deploy 7 of these robots in the area near Mission Bay in California. And what I'll show you in this video is how they were transported by ocean currents. Here we go. Here are the 7 updated every 30 seconds. And here is an internal wave, which brought them warmer and faster water, which allowed them to surf on that water, thereby facilitating the transport of larvae shoreward. And that was an exciting result, which will be coming out soon, as the paper is now in press. And lastly, outreach has been very important to me. And these underwater robots have now been incorporated into the London Science Museum's permanent collection. Just a quick note on the future. Here I'm showing a concept of working with some of the folks at JPL in their deployable structures lab, where we can actually change the robot's configuration to change the drag coefficient, and also the hope will be to equip them with microscopes and sensors to image both zooplankton and phytoplankton.
Thank you so much, Jules, for this really exciting and innovative new work. I'd like to remind everybody who's watching that you don't have to wait till the end of the session to ask your questions on Slido. Ask them now, and there'll be more time for folks to upvote them as we go through our sessions.